Now next guest is Flavia Gomes Aragao, head of the global international supply chain within AB InBev, which is the biggest beer company in the world. Flavia has been working in the company for 20 years, and her topic is what I have learned on my journey. Flavia, welcome.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you everyone for being here. So first of all, well, good morning and dobre ano. And I would like to start actually being really thankful for the organizers of the event. They are putting together a great conference in such a topic that is very, very important for us on the equality. It's really one big step for us on the stimulation of the diversity on the professional environment. So really big thank you for all of you. And well, I'm super proud to be here today. I will speak a little bit about my journey from a career perspective, and afterwards I would or open for some questions. I will add some elements of my private life when speaking about my career, because I cannot detach the two, my private life and my personal life. They really go hand in hand. They make what I am today. And then I will talk as well a little bit about how I evolve on the thoughts about equality, which was something that in my 20s, I have to say I was not thinking so much about it, but as much as I grew and I start changing my perspective, and a lot of other feelings and life aspirations came on the way, so it changed as well. And I will be here sharing with you a couple of learnings that I had on the way. So I started my career back in Brazil 20 years ago. I was an intern in the company when I joined, and I started working on the sales back office area. So at that time, the company decided to do a big centralization in the country, and all the activities around the country were placed in only one single location, which was 3 hours flying from my hometown. And I tried to have the opportunity to go as well, together with that centralization, because I saw it for me as a big opportunity for growth, for learning. And yes, I was offered a position there, which I took it. I spent 4 years. It was a city nearby São Paulo. And I did different roles in that area, either in logistics or in the order to cash department. And at that moment, the company was doing a big merge with a beer Belgium company, which triggered on me also the willingness of having some international assignment on something different and internationally. That would be, I thought it would be a very good opportunity for me on the learning side. And I start giving the signals to the company that I would be willing to do that. So a couple of months later, actually there was an opportunity that was to go to Czech Republic to do the same type of project that we did in Brazil on the centralization of the activities. We were supposed to create a center in Prague at that time, also with a big centralization opportunity of the activities around Europe. So I jumped on that immediately. It was a great experience. It's supposed to be for 3 months. It became 6, afterwards 1 year. And in the end, I spent 2 years in Prague, and it was a great learning. So literally we had nothing in Prague, no business, no building, no people, and we needed to start everything from scratch. We were 5 people working in a room from a brewery that we had at that time in Prague. And from that on, we have now 500 people in the office. It was a wonderful journey that we had. In Prague, I also met my husband, who is German. And then it was when I started realizing that I might not come back to Brazil any soon, or at least in the short term. And we started thinking much more together on how we build our, let's say, careers together, rather than only taking opportunities everywhere where they are coming. So after 2 years in Prague, I moved to Belgium. And in Belgium, I was still in either in the logistic department majority of the time. And there was a big opportunity for me to move to a director role, which was professionally a very, let's say, demanding, but very rewarding thing, and a very big learning as well. But at that time, it was actually combined with the time that we also start thinking about having kids. And of course, associated with those thoughts, there is a lot of concerns, fears around how I'm going to manage the new challenge. Thinking about from now on is not only about taking opportunities and new challenges wherever they are, but of course, combining both careers, because my husband also has a career. And for me, it's not about the choice between my career or his, it's both, it's a family. And on top, a baby. So there was indeed a lot of, let's say, concerns and fears that come obviously into the mind with that. But along the way, so for the moment we started, it was a journey that we had of 2 years. And it was when I started realizing not everything comes into a plan as we think, right? We tend to plan things and we think that all those things will happen exactly on the time that we expect, but it's not like that. And I really learned very quickly to not stop before I actually really needed to stop, because in that 2 periods that I was in a big, let's say, personal struggle on that, there was another opportunity that came across professionally to go to a commercial area, still in the logistic area. That was my let's say, expertise, but doing something new in the company. It was a great opportunity that I really didn't want to miss because of the other thoughts that I was having in terms of expanding and having a family. So I took it, and it was great for me because for me, really, it goes together and hand in hand. My personal life, my professional life, and one of them needs to be in a good shape to sustain the other if the other is not going well. And it was exactly what happened. So, and I'm really thankful for that learning, that I really didn't stop and I didn't back any opportunity because I wanted to have a plan on having kids. So I really took that. It was 2 great years in that role, really developed a lot. I learned a lot. And after those 2 years, actually the notice came that yes, I was finally pregnant. And then more uncertainty and more thoughts came into my mind in terms of how I would balance it all with the career, with the family. And on top, a big fear that I had was after the maternity leave, how I would come back, because I had that very strong in my mind that it might be a threat for me from a career growth, because I would need to have a break. Or at least for some period. And I remember at that time, I had a manager that he told me, look, don't worry on what is the next position now. You have a role that is the role of a mother that you will take, and you don't know what is coming. Focus on that. We just need to be very clear to each other what you want, what is your ideal timing for coming back. So I needed to plan ideally, if everything goes well, I want to come back to work in this certain period and be updating him on that, because he also has his responsibility on taking, on planning how it would be my return. So that was a very candid and open discussion that we had, and we did exactly that. And I'm really thankful for that advice, because I was really so concerned when I left on maternity leave that I would be really breaking my career. But well, it didn't happen that it break my career. So I came back. Obviously, when we come back to work as a mother, there is even other fears in terms of how I would manage, because my head is actually now somewhere else. I will need to leave my baby with somewhere else that I don't know. What is she being treated well? How I will manage the logistics on breastfeeding and work. So there is a lot of things that the woman, when we come back, we need support, and there is an adaptation period. So I even had thoughts if I would be able to concentrate properly at work as I used to do before, because my head was so full of all those things. And it happened that yes, after a couple of days, your mind is an amazing thing that really can expand and create a full new department called kids and everything around that. But really the power of mindset is something that really boosts. And I learned it that I really need to keep on being very, very much training my positiveness on the mindset. It was actually a great bridge from the previous session when we were talking about meditation mindset, because it's really so true for us to keep on going on the positive side and focus on the right thing. So when I came back, I continued my career. Obviously, there was an adaptation period, but I learned on how to put my career together in this new routine and how to keep going. And after 2 years, when I returned, I was still in the international logistics in different roles for 2 years. And then after that, I'm now heading the full team for more than a year now, and I'm super proud of the team we have. we have actually run about 53% men, 47% women. So still some work to do on the whole organization, but my direct reports, we have 50-50. And I have to say there are some key messages that I always reinforce with them that we need to be working as leaders to guarantee that we pass through the team. One then is to be clear on what we want professionally and personally, because those things, they really go hand in hand. And we need to be very clear to ourselves on what makes us happy, to be able to have the work in one side going that direction that makes us happy, and personally as well, right? So we need to be very clear, start on ourselves, being very clear with that. Do not stop before we have to actually really need to stop, because we might lose opportunities that we should not lose, because we don't know what is coming. So we should keep going. We should not stop before we really need to stop. Do not make decisions when we have the mindset not prepared for that. So I really remember a lot when he said, don't think about when you are coming back. Think about the step that you are taking now. The new role as a mother is something completely new. You don't know what is going to happen. But in that period, of course, we need to be updating each other to see how it will be your return in the best way. And then the power of mindset. So it's really amazing. We really need to train our minds for positiveness, for growth, because focusing on and prioritizing our mental fitness can unlock so much potential and opportunities that we have. And sometimes we even don't know that is inside us. So it's really something that we really need to have always in the back of our mind. And something very important for my direct reports as leaders, I always tell them that empathy is crucial. So in order to develop people, to train people, to get the best out of their performance, we really need to make sure that we empathize with them and we are genuinely interested on the people. Otherwise, it will never sound that is really true, or we will never make a safe environment for people to speak up and to see what professionally and personally also makes them happy. So those were my learnings. I'm happy to answer questions. It was very, very brief, but hopefully that we can have a good some Q&A session.
Okay, Flavia, thank you very much. I have a question. First question. I would expect that the beer company is more male-driven, and you mentioned 47% of your team is women. So how did you manage to create such an equal environment?
Yeah, indeed. And we started our journey, and I have to say some areas are more advanced than others. But something that we are doing a lot is really the investing on the consciousness of our leadership. We need to invest on trainings, on making sure that we break the bias, that we have bigger pools of people from a, let's say, pipeline perspective, and also is the consciousness and willingness to change, right? It goes together. And this is one of the main things that we are making sure that our leadership is working on, that to make an environment that is safe for the people, and that the people really, regardless the gender, they see that there is opportunity and perspective for development. I think this is key for us to bring the motivation and keep the wheel on having more and more women on that. And of course, we need to have a mutual support. The empathy on the situation of the others is very important. I lived it myself, and I know that for the moment that I came back, for instance, from my maternity leave, I needed at least a logistic support on where I would breastfeed at work. And sometimes, depending on the offices, is even not prepared for that. So, and we need to empathize with those situations to be able to act on that.
Thank you.
Flavia, you shared your learnings. Could you say what is inspiration you would like to bring to other women?
Yeah, and this is very, very important to really emphasize that it's possible. So it's much more a matter of us finding out what we want to achieve from a personal perspective in our lives and from a professional perspective in our lives. being vocal about that, to make sure that we say it, because then we can try to find a way. And it's really the responsibility of every leader to make an environment that people are really feel comfortable enough to say it. Because if we do that, then we will know what are the aspirations, what are the willingness of the people to try to drive in that direction. So I think for me, it's really making them thinking it is possible. We just need to be very clear ourselves and make it voiceable on that.
Okay, Flavia, I guess that you have some system approach inside your company, but I have a question regarding the quotes. So do you think that implementation of quotes would help?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Because in one hand, obviously, it can generate an effect immediately, but can generate also an opposite, not opposite, but a negative effect on having people seeing that others are being promoted not by their skills, but because of a quota. So in my view, something that we need to invest much more is really on the pipeline management, and making sure that once we have a strong pipeline, and perhaps we should have a quota in the pipeline to guarantee that we have a diverse group of people that are applying for a specific position. So that would make much broader let's say the pool of candidates that would be in the line for a position. And obviously, for the recruiters or for the managers, we need to invest a lot on breaking the bias. This is very important, because we tend to recruit people that are like us, right? Or people that we know. So we need to invest on that to break those bias. And ideally, of course, having more than one person as well to do the interviews and to be the final decision maker on the candidates or in the position, because then it balances much more the perspectives as well.
Flavia, thank you. Just very briefly, now we are in a very difficult period. You work on home, you have a baby at home. How did you how do you go through this period?
Yeah, it's a very, very good point, because indeed this is hard. And I have to say, I needed to go through the period and work in both sides, personally and professionally. Personally, I tried to organize myself at home in a way that was fitting at least the best schedule of myself or my husband. I have a very heavy, let's say, afternoons and evenings, while his heavy moment is more in the morning. So we try to split. Obviously, it's easier to say rather than implement, right? I had some hard times. I have to say, for a couple of weeks, my daughter even refused to speak Portuguese to me, because she was super upset that I was not there in the evenings to put her in bed. But well, I'm sure that we came out on this stronger as a family. And professionally, something that was very important was to make sure that we kept the connection with the teams, because we tend to connect with the ones that are closer, or that we have things to do in a day-to-day. But we have people, of course, that are not in a day-to-day discussions that we have, but we still need to keep the connection with them. So we create different forums, like either happy hours or a Cafe Connect, that is something that is smaller, more to have the touch base with the people, to not break the connection. That was really very, very important. On top, of course, investing on the mental health of all of us, because we are all in that situation, and we the same way as I struggle, the team as well. So everybody has a different struggle to deal with. So those were the points that I tried to emphasize.
Flavia, thank you for sharing your experiences. If you can, please stay us, look at the chat. You have there some messages. Flavia Gomes Aragao, head of the Global International Supply Chain within AB InBev, was our guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you.